So we are going to hear from a very, very diverse businessman here, and it's a pleasure to welcome Srini on stage. Please put your hands together.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to first thank Zinnov, the team, for giving me this opportunity to talk on what I consider is probably the most topical subject for this industry here. And I was listening to, I'm sorry, can I get your name? I've not met you. Sundar. I'm sorry, I heard that, slipped my mind. So I heard Sundar, I think that was some really good analysis that Zinnov has done. And I was specifically interested in the 26%. And without statistical data, what I thought was that other industries do a better job than we do, in terms of giving opportunities to leaders that emerge from India in the global arena. And we have read about a lot of them in the FMCG and banking sectors, for example, right? And I think it's a good opportunity for us to learn from other industries and emulate them. And I don't see much of, in my experience, and I'm not sure, maybe I'm the least qualified to talk to a group of people like you because, like Sundar pointed out, I'm an economics graduate with a diploma in management, and I also had a tenure in the Indian Army. So a very, very different kind of a profile than typical people that you find here. And from my out-of-the-box kind of a vision that I come with into this industry, I don't know if it is engineering, the engineering genetic code that is there versus the management people or whatever, but there is lack of initiative by and large the way I have seen it. So I really want, this is a great initiative by Zinnov. I hope it's a good start. I really want Zinnov to grant a lot more time than the 20 minutes that they have given for this subject, because I think in the future, technology leaders emerging out of India is going to be big for our industry. So thank you for the opportunity. Right? So what I'm going to cover quickly is talk a little bit about my journey, and I'm going to share with you some of the learnings that I have, and then I want to talk about the magic of illusion or Maya. I don't want to hypnotize all of you, so don't worry about it. We'll just touch a little bit upon that. Maybe a little of it comes from my Vedanta readings, but I think it's very, very interesting in the world we live. From my journey perspective, my foundation, from a foundation perspective, I would credit two aspects, in terms of what has given me the launch pad in terms of becoming this international leader, if you want to use that term. Number one, I would say that I had this brief stint as an entrepreneur, and that, even though the entrepreneurial venture itself, I would not qualify it as a big success in my career, but I would say that it propelled me into, into a true leadership arena. I was able to interact with customers, leaders in the customers arena where they were demanding out of us, and we had a few very tough customers as in Intel and Logic Vision, and these guys they are hard, when they are customers, and I'm sure you deal with a lot of them. The other thing is that it also propelled me into the leadership arena as in the industry. I was involved with the VLSI Design Conference and all that, and I was exhibits chair and sponsorship chair for a few years, and it helped me interact with people across a wide range of companies, and that I would consider as a very good foundation for people to have. So essentially what I would encourage you all to do is to look for entrepreneurial opportunities. I'm not saying quit your company and do something else. What I'm saying is look for something which will give you that kind of opportunity in your career, and it could be within your organization. And that essentially, like I said, even though it did work very well for me, it did help me a lot when I started Manhattan Associates India Development Center and also the Bali Development Center here. And both these, I probably brought on my entrepreneurial learning and used it in an intrapreneurial environment. So I was able to bring in some of those learnings here, and that helped and became a foundation. And how it became a foundation was both these organizations were successful centers of engineering excellence. So that really helped. The fact that they were successful, the fact that they made an impact on the in the corporate agenda helped project the India Center and the leaders in the India Center at a global level. So that was a foundation, which brings me to the point that as leaders you really have your team to thank for, because you are as successful as your team is. That's what it is at the end of the day. And the fact that my team helped make the India Center get relevance in the global arena in the respective companies, that helped me project myself, or helped me give me the platform to succeed at an international. Secondly, opportunity. That's a big thing. We all talk about how we should learn to grab opportunity. In my journey, what happened was I joined Bally in 2005, and in 2006, kind of the first quarter of the calendar year, we had this situation in the UK where we had a product line and we had a market, and it was not doing well at all, and the company took the decision to shut it down. And what from my vision, what I could see was there was no problem with the market as such. It was an excellent market for the company to own. The problem was with the product line that we were offering. And if I thought that if I can, with my engineering, weight that I have in India, if we can do something about the product line itself, we will be able to turn around that business. So I went to my CEO and I said, you give me one opportunity. I just want this one opportunity where I can do something about our business in the UK. And then I was very thankful and I was very lucky that they agreed. I came back to India and then we rewrote the entire product line. So we created a new product out of India. We sold it in the UK market, and it completely turned around the business. And we currently, in that particular route gaming market that we have in the UK, we have 100% market share. So not only did it turn around our business in the UK, it also helped us grow globally. So we have this particular product line that we rewrote here in India and deployed. We have customers in the US, we have customers in South America, we have customers in Asia. So essentially, you have to look out for opportunities, and those could be engineering opportunities. Oftentimes, so in this case, this was not like, there was a market that was opening up and, my boss said that, Srini, are you willing to, take up business? It's just that we were planning to shut down, and then I went up and said, give me a chance to rewrite the product. So being engineering leaders, you should look out for these kind of opportunities. The other thing I would say is in terms of enablers, I already touched upon it briefly, but the engineering strength that we have in India, I would say that was a big enabler for me. And taking off from the UK opportunity that we had, the next big global opportunity that came my way was a new business opportunity in South Africa. And there was this large customer, and it was over $50 million in terms of business for the company. And essentially, we had this India engineering strength out here. That helped us take part in the pre-sales for this business opportunity, right? So I was involved in the pre-sales for this Africa business, and we were involved, me and my team from India were involved from day one. A lot of the customer, by the way, was extremely technical. So sometimes you have customers who are, who just want the result, they are interested in what difference you can create to their bottom or top line. But sometimes you have customers who want to drill deep into your product, deep into your solution, who are asking you what you have to offer. They want customization, and they want to participate in how you are going to build the customized product for them. So this customer in South Africa, we went through almost about 18 months of development for that customer. We had to do a lot of new things which our product line that we had to offer did not have. But they were keen on going with us because of what we had. And the fact that we were involved in the pre-sales helped us pitch ourselves as the business grew over there. So that gave me a unique opportunity to become the person. So once this customer signed the dotted line and gave us the contract, almost automatically I was there, and there was nobody else in terms of a senior leader, and it just seamlessly came in that we did the pre-sales, there was a sales guy involved, and I was involved in the pre-sales activity. The customer gave us a deal, and it was almost like an obvious choice for me to run run the market. So you have to look out for those kind of opportunities and as well as enablers. The other thing is sometimes you won't get those opportunities. So what do you do? So if you look at my Asia Pacific, sojourn that I got into, that was started by another colleague of mine, and she did a great job, grew the business from scratch, took it to a level, and then there were challenging times. She got a great opportunity in another company as a CEO, and she moved on. And then, as a natural progression, I was located in this region, and it kind of the responsibility came to me. But essentially, why I would say the responsibility came to me was because even while she was growing the business, I was quite aggressive in supporting that business. See, one big advantage that we have as an engineering center in India is that you have these, huge population of engineers. One of the things that I would encourage all of you to do is, I find resistance from a lot of engineering leaders to send your people outside. I would say just, quell the resistance. Please do not, please be actually volunteer to send your people. Please be that farming community for your local organization. Because when you do that, you will find your people who have kind of grown in this, in India, in various places in the world, and that will help when you are growing as an individual or as your organization is growing globally. So when my colleague started the Asia Pacific organization, and she was growing it, but then you option if this is your career, and he also talked briefly about family and pressure and all that. We really have to make a choice. Yesterday I was telling one of my colleagues about, she was talking to me about balancing her life, and I said, well, you got to decide what you want in your life. If you want to build a career, then you cannot balance your life. It's not possible. So if a small child who is 3 months old decides to start walking, probably it's going to become a cripple. So you cannot be thinking about walking when you are 3 months old. God has not made nature that way. Similarly, you can't be thinking about balancing your life when you have a young career, or you are a young global leader. So you've got to figure out what you want to do, and if you really want to become a global leader, even if you have reached a certain level in your career, you've got to be that 3-month-old again. You have to be open to become a child once more in your life. And that's the only way you will be able to grow. So you have to be able to travel. There is a lot of resistance to travel. There is no choice. If you want it, you better be on the move. Coming to challenges, this is pretty much, number one, I would say, and I'm sorry, I'm referring to my notes here a little bit, but my biggest challenge as I started, I wouldn't say it was a challenge in the UK or in Africa, but in Asia and Australia, inheriting the operations from a local leader, So that, and oftentimes that is what you get. Very rarely do you get an opportunity, and like I was lucky enough that Africa was, no one was there when we went, right? But more often than not, you will have a local leadership, and you will probably, your opportunity will be where you inherit from the local leader. That is a challenge, and you have to figure out how to address that challenge. And I don't want to lecture here because it depends on your situation, it depends on your environment, your company. But you have to keep that in mind. When you inherit from a local population, from a local leader, you got to keep that in mind that you are doing that. And what you have to do, the only way to overcome those challenges, you have to establish trust. The sooner you gain the trust of the local team that is already there, the better for you. The other challenge that I have faced is that oftentimes when I go meet customers, when ours is a heavily regulated industry. So when I meet with regulators, the question that gets popped up to me is, so India's headquarters, is India headquarters for the region? And you have to figure out how to handle this. Sometimes you have to say absolutely, sometimes you have to say no, not at all. It's just that I happen to be living in India, but I work for an American company. So you have to, this is something that will get posed to you. It is a mixed flavor. Some people, depending on the individual, depending on the customer, some people view it favorably, some people come in with a lot of doubt. Okay, so you have to be aware in terms of how to handle it. For me, one of the things was, a lot of, especially among my customers, they perceived Srini as having lack of business experience in our domain. So, and engineering leaders in India who have had a career of, working in development teams and all that, you will have that kind of disadvantage when you go out, right? So the only way is to keep working, keep delivering, and getting their confidence and trust. That's another huge challenge that I continue to face is attrition and replacing people that you lose with equally or good or better talent. It's a lot easier to hire in India in our industry, so we tend to not give it that much of importance, but it is very difficult to hire in global markets. Getting good people in global markets is extremely challenging. So the more you can retain, the more you can focus on keeping your people happy, the better for you. And also, I would say even you should prepare for attrition. So even though you're not losing people, it's good to build your network and know people in the industry just in case you need to hire one of those days. Right? Grooming international leaders, I would say that's probably the biggest thing that will help you succeed in this role. I have this quote from Ralph Nader, who is an American politician, and he says the function of leadership is not to create followers. So especially if you are going to be a global leader and you're not in the geography, you have to have leaders in that market, and it's your job to build them. Number one, please, if as much as possible, hire yourself. If you can hire your local leader in the geography, that's good for you. And if you cannot do that, participate in hiring. For example, when I acquired an organization in Asia Pacific that was already there, I was not recruiting the managing director for Asia, but at the same time, I was selecting in the sense that there was an internal candidate. I was participating in the recruitment of the internal candidate. I was looking at a few other people, and all these candidates knew that I was involved. So either hiring or being involved in hiring the local leader is a big asset when you are grooming international leaders. Secondly, listen to them. You have to listen. The maximum thing that you can do, as much as you can talk less and the more you can listen, the better for you. And that will help you facilitate them to be successful. That's what you got to do. And of course, you have to be their spokesperson within the organization. You have to project them. You have to make them visible to executive leadership, to the board if required. So you have to be their representative in order to give them the platform to show them. For example, small little things, like oftentimes I find people get their subordinates to send them an email, and then they will send it to me from their email ID or send it to the boss in the US or wherever, right? Now, if someone is doing the job and you are not adding any value to it, let that someone, send it to whoever it is. Could be your boss, could be the customer, could be anyone else. It's not like you have to snatch the, visibility from that person. Anything and everything that goes from you should have a value that you are giving to it. If there is zero value you are adding, you might as well have that person get that visibility. And over a period of time, it will truly help you in terms of grooming leaders. My learning, and I can see that I really have to hurry here, the onus is on you. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit about this when I cover the third point. But entirely, you have to put yourself on the block. You have to put your neck on the block. You have to stand there, and you have to take ownership. It is entirely up to you. Trust, building that, establishing trust takes a lot of time. You have to be patient. You have to keep at it again and again and again. And finally, when we say you have to be a global leader, you have to be a global leader. There's no shortcut to it. And some of my notes in terms of being a global leader, number one, you have to seek to understand. When I was a young manager, I was very fascinated by Stephen Covey's 7 Habits. And his number 2 is, seek to understand. You truly have to practice it the way he talks about it. Okay, and that is the only way that people will warm up to you. Secondly, to be a global leader, never trust your opinion. Never be seen, rather. Never be seen as trusting your opinion. You have to go with the flow, and you have to get your opinion across, but you cannot be seen as trusting your opinion. Do not be seen also as pushing your agenda. It doesn't help when you are seen as a person who has an agenda. One of the things that has truly helped me in my life is maybe my genetic code. I forget things, So if I'm pushing very hard on something today, and I have been yelling and screaming at some of my teammates, about a week from now or 3 days from now, I won't have a clue what it was about. I completely forget about it. So that has helped me being perceived as a leader who has no agenda, So there is an event, there is a problem, there is an issue, we are handling it passionately, but there is no connection, that carries forward. So I would encourage you not to be seen as a leader that has an agenda and, is working to get that agenda fulfilled. That's not very, very healthy in my experience. At the same time, you got to achieve what you have to do, right? So you have to make your agenda, if I may use that word again, the global agenda. So as much as you can make sure that your objective, your goal, and even if it is an agenda, becomes the global agenda and is perceived as the global agenda, it will help you. And even though you have to keep listening most of the time, you have to use that opportunity to make your point. That's also extremely critical. And the most important thing I would say is you have to establish the culture connect. It is your job. The onus is on you to establish the culture connect. And the best example that I can give to you is that when the Bally Technology CEO, he visited India for the first time in Bally. Obviously, as a lot of people who come from abroad, they come out, they get out into the airport. Sometimes in the airport, sometimes as they walk out of the airport, there is a culture shock. And that happens to a lot of foreigners who come to India, right? And that happened to my CEO too, major culture shock. So that culture shock was there, but when he walked into the Bally Technologies offices, that culture shock was completely replaced by a culture connect. And I think that one of the best praise that I have received from my bosses is that he said that I didn't even feel that I was getting into an office in India. I felt as if this was another office in the United States. So I don't know how you customize it to your organization. You have to establish that culture connect. When a person comes into your office, he or she should feel as if that they are getting into any other office of your organization in the world, and that onus is on you too. So finally, I'm sorry. I'm late, but I think if Zinnov had given me a directive saying you have to finish in 30 minutes and you choose what you want to do, I would have not talked about whatever I talked till now. This is what I would have liked to do. Okay, so like I said, I don't want to hypnotize you, but guess what? Life we see as we see it, and our scriptures talk about it. It's an illusion, right? But I don't want to go again into a scriptural, or a religious sermon here. What I want to emphasize upon it is, it's true. It is an illusion, and I saw this documentary, Automatic Brain. And if you can get hold of it, I tried to Google it, I couldn't find it. In Singapore Airlines, if you travel, I hope it's there even now, there is this documentary called The Automatic Brain. And that's a beautiful one, the couple of things that they say, and we could talk about that, it's a very fascinating subject. They talk about, how we practically live in the past. We do not live in the present, or we live in the past, because whatever we are saying now, whatever I'm talking now, my brain has already thought about it a fraction of a second ago or a few seconds ago. So from that perspective, you're living in the past, because what is happening now has actually happened earlier inside you. So it's a beautiful concept, and if you can spend some time on this concept, what it will give you is, it will give you the power to make your world the way you want it to be. So you got to use this power to make it. And what I would request here to do is, if you can go into the cards that you have there, we gave out some cards. If you can open those, and we are going to do 4 illusions here, right? Do I have Zinnov permission? It's very hard to pull someone down from the stage, right? So I'm just taking advantage. So if you have, does everyone have this card? So you please move it back and forth. Some people see it when you move it back and forth. Some people see it when you shake it. You do whatever is good for you. But when you do that, you will see, what do you see? Right? You will basically see that the center circular section, it appears to be floating and moving in a direction against the surrounding area. The surrounding area is doing something else, and the circular section it has a certain sense of depth, and it is doing something else. How do you think it happens? Basically, the intersections that you see, the horizontal and the vertical bars that are there, they trigger motion detectors that are there in your visual system in different ways. The vertical bars will do it different, and there are different vertical bars, different horizontal bars. They trigger the motion detectors of your visual systems in different ways. So basically, you will see that illusory depth and motion in that central circle. Now, you know what? That's exactly what happens in a global organization. Okay? The intersections, and Pari talked about it, between the functional and the hierarchical lines in a matrix structure. Okay? That triggers perception detectors in the communication system. That's exactly how it works. It's so easy to relate when you do this illusion. And that does it in different ways. So as a global leader, managing the perception is extremely crucial. And managing perception in every situation is a critical part of global leadership. Moving on, if you can go to the second illusion. So here you have to stare at that dot. Okay, I'll give you about maybe 15 to 20 seconds. If you could please stare at the dot, not at the color or the heart or whatever. Please focus on the dot for about 20 seconds. And once you're done, once you feel your 20 seconds are over, quickly close your eyes. Yeah, please close your eyes now. What do you see? I'm sure most of you would have seen a tint of red or pink heart. Right? This is also an extremely interesting illusion. How does this happen? The color receptors in our eyes work in pairs. Red, green, blue, yellow, they work in different pairs. That's how it works. When the red receptors become fatigued, the green receptors will dominate. In this case, the heart was green. So when you were staring at it, the green receptors became fatigued. And when you close your eyes, the red receptors dominate. So you basically saw the heart as a pink thing. That's what happened. Now again, this is exactly what happens in a global organization. And before that, I have to tell you this. This is called color after image. Okay, what you saw, the receptors getting tired and another color taking over, is basically called color after image. That's what it is called. Now, every crucial interaction in a global organization, minor and major, but crucial interaction, leaves an after image, whether you like it or not. Okay? And managing that after image is as critical as managing that interaction itself. And this is a big mistake all of us do. We manage that interaction, we think we have done a great job of it, we walk out, and then the after image is what dominates everything else. That is what actually makes things happen. So managing that is extremely crucial. Let's move on. Read. So you have this card where you have letters written, okay, and you have words written. Sorry, you got to read out from left to right the color, not the words. Okay. For example, the first one, you got to read green instead of yellow for the first word. Okay. Difficult, right? It's very hard. Now, again, this is caused by the left. We all know about the left brain and the right brain. This is caused by the left brain, right brain conflict. Basically because they control different modes of thinking. The right brain is more intuitive, holistic, it synthesizes information. The left brain is more logistic, it wants to be analytical, sequential. So in this example, while your left brain was looking at the color, the right brain was looking at the word. And that conflict causes you to struggle while you are reading it. Now guess what? This is exactly what happens in a global organization. Right? So you and your global counterpart, they are the left, you are his left brain and he is the right brain. Or you are the right brain and she is the left brain. That is what it is. And that conflict will obviously be there. You cannot ignore it. You have to accept it. As much as you accept your left brain, which is inside you, right brain conflict, you have to accept the left brain, right brain conflict in an organization. And you are part of the brain and your global counterpart leader is another part of the brain. You will emphasize on one aspect of the subject based on your perception, whereas their focus is something else. So they will emphasize another aspect based on their perception. But the subject is the same. So you got to manage this conflict proactively, and that is elementary to success. So my last illusion. So do you see the spirals in the last card? Okay, you have the last card, right? You know what? They are not spirals. They are concentric circles. I'm sure some of you would have seen them as concentric circles. but a lot of you would have seen it as spirals, especially because I said, do you see spirals? Right? So it was, in a way, it was actually fooling you to thinking it's spirals. Right? So they are concentric, and if you don't believe it, some of you say, no, they are spiral, please draw. You will never reach to the center or you will never reach to the next. This is the Fraser spiral. Okay, that's what it is called. So essentially, the way it is drawn and the way that twisted strands are there, that is what helps you perceive it as a spiral, even though they are completely independent cells. And finally, once more, that's exactly what happens. See, whether you like it or not, every single department, every single geography is unconnected to each other. That's how it is. That's how we are as human beings, right? So they are concentric circles. My India organization, my Asia Pacific, my Australia, my Africa, they are all independent concentric circles. I cannot fool myself to thinking that they are all one and the same. The objective is to make it one team. That's what we as leaders have to do. But the fact is that they are independent. So your job as a leader is to connect these together. You've got to do that. And if you do that, you will automatically emerge as globally. So I'm really sorry I exceeded my time limit. Thank you very much. And truly, Zinnov, please do focus more on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Srini. It was a wonderful session. So good. In fact, now it's a very good learning for us. I'd like to give you as a note. Thanks. Thank you.